I already made my tweet.
You already made the tweet?
We're live.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm Kayla.
I'm Crystal.
And we are here today
Tyler.
going to talk with Tyler on TV about the Conjuring House and all of his crazy experience. How long have you been going there?
Oh man, so Conjuring House was my first ever spot. I've been in and out of that place for 2 years now.
2 years? When was
Yeah,
the
2
first time
years.
you went? Well, how was the dragged you there or drawn you there?
Yeah, so there's kind of a little story to how I officially did get in there. And it all started with actually two of my buddies. They were deciding that they wanted to get on YouTube. They wanted to get in the paranormal field. I thought they were absolutely crazy. They're like, oh, we're going to the Conjuring House. We can't wait. It's going to be really cool. I'm like, all right, you guys are kind of crazy. At this point, I had nothing to do with ghosts. Didn't watch videos. Didn't really do anything. And my buddy went live on Facebook. So I decided, let's just see what they're up to, see what they're doing. So they're just running around the house with an EMF detector. And it was like the funniest thing. I'm like, look at these guys. They're like, what is the point of all of this stuff? So they do their whole night there. And they're like, oh, we're going back. You should really come with us. So I was like, go with you guys. I mean, what am I going to do there? There's not much for me at, a haunted spot. So I went with them. And then we had the whole night there. And that's when I met some of the closest people still to like me today with the whole paranormal field. But I went there and I'm just looking around. They have all of these gadgets, all of these devices. I'm looking at everyone like they're kind of crazy. But it was interesting. So they're filming a whole video. They're getting it all ready for the team channel that we have. And yeah, we were just doing portal box sessions, spirit box sessions. We had REM pods out. And like it's all kind of like amazing me because I'm like, how is all of this stuff going off? And nothing, like there's just no reason for it to go off. Why is the portal box answering our questions? It really makes no sense whatsoever. So from that night, I was like, this is actually kind of interesting. And that was the first time ever was Conjuring House. And we just kept getting invited back. We kept going, made like a little family throughout all of it. And we all talk today. We all hang out. We meet up. So it's really, really cool.
That's awesome.
That's really awesome, though. Was that like your first paranormal experience, like going out and doing that?
First paranormal, absolutely everything was the Conjuring House.
Were you afraid of anything?
That's terrifying.
So, yeah, you're in this house, right? And they say that there's all these ghosts, you don't know what to expect, what people have had in the past. So you're kind of like freaking yourself out in a way because nothing is really communicating with you or speaking with you at the moment. But the part of me was like, I don't want to go in the basement alone. I don't want to be anywhere alone, to be honest. This is just weird. It's freaky.
Heck no. That is a dream location, but at the same time, I'm like, that's really scary, though. Like, from everything I've seen, I'm just like, that's a scary location.
Right.
And didn't you take your brother there, too? Like, your little brother?
Yeah, so it was probably a few months ago. I brought him to the house. We just did a day tour. We stayed a little bit longer just because, I mean, I know the owner and stuff like that. But I just showed him around the house, let him play with a few gadgets. I think all we did was the dowsing rods, but we still got a pretty good session out of it.
Heck yeah. And was your brother, creeped out at the time? Because he's younger.
Yeah, so the story, I'll go briefly into him and say a quick story with him. Ever since he was little, he was even still in a crib. So, I mean, whatever age that goes back to, I don't really know. Baby in a crib, right? But he was old enough to talk. So there's I don't know if they have video of it. I don't know. All I know is that he was talking to someone in the room. No one was in the room with him, but it was his friend. as he's grown up and stuff like that, he can see spirits in different ways. He used to play with my great grandparents down in the basement of my Nana and Papa's house. They're all completely gone. He came up, explained them to a T, and there's no way that he could have really even known them. We don't talk about. So on my Nana side, they were Meme and Pepe. We've never told him about them because they've passed away way long ago. No way he could have ever met them. He comes up saying how he was just playing with them, described how they looked, described them to everything. And he was downstairs playing with his cars with them.
That's crazy.
insane.
Yeah, it's interesting because at first we were just like, what is the whole deal with all of this? But yeah, I mean, it is really, really cool.
Well, it's like a lot of kids like see and hear and talk and all of that stuff to spirits and everything, but it's like him physically describing is something completely different.
Right.
And like still to this day, he's
yeah. It's still to this day, so that's the cool part. So I told him, I said, when he's old enough, I'm definitely bringing him on the channel because you just don't get people that could do that.
Right.
No,
Yep.
not at all. Or they act like they can and they actually.
Yeah. And it's crazy too, because what he tells me is that if they're a new spirit who just passed on, they have a little bit of color. And the later a spirit is, they lose that color, and the more later a spirit is, the more foggy they get.
Oh, wow.
So at one point, when it's like a very, very old spirit, they're basically just a mist with an outline. And he says, but the craziest thing that he says too is he goes, and it's not like any bad thing, because as people move on and stuff like that, it's not that we're forgetting about the loved ones that are passed, but we're not talking about them as much anymore. And that's with anybody. It's no disrespect to any of the family members that go, but he says how the more and more as he played with them, they kind of started fading away a little bit more. And it's as we keep moving on and growing and extending the family, you're talking about them less and less. So they're kind of losing that energy, and they're just becoming a force that's around you. So he said how they just really kind of kept fading down. And that's the creepy part.
My gosh. Your first time at the house, when you went and investigated with these guys, what was it like? Like, were you terrified walking in? Like, you had no idea what to expect?
No, so I wasn't scared. It was one of those things to where I had no idea what I was walking into. You know what I mean? Everyone kind of goes to that house and they know that they want to use equipment. They know. I had no idea. Not about one tool, nothing. So I'm just walking around the place. And I mean, it's almost like you're in one of those like old, well, because it's a farmhouse, right? So it is just like how it said. It's like you're walking around one of those old historic farmhouses, and you're like, you feel like you shouldn't touch one thing because it's just that style. It was like, I don't know, because the first time you ever go in there, you'll never get it back. You will never get it back, your first experience. No. And it's just the smell of the place.
But like,
it's what's that?
I said just anywhere. You'll never get that first moment going to any of these locations back.
Oh yeah, you lose it every time. But and like the weirdest thing is, I've never gone into a place and had such a first experience with the smell, just the feel of the environment. It's just everything around you. When you first walk into that house, it is the weirdest feeling that you can get. And for me, it all faded away. It like as I just kept going and going and going, I go in there like I can walk into my house. But I remember that first day, and it was different. It was weird.
Wow.
Oh man, I couldn't even imagine. I think when we eventually go, I'm gonna like the first time walking through that door, I'm gonna be like, I go.
Yeah, it's
so what all happened on your first trip there?
So yeah, I mean, first trip wasn't anything too crazy, but it was enough to get me to want to explore more. We had the portal
Right.
box, which connects to a spirit box, but what it does is it gets rid of all of that white noise. It gets rid of all of the like skipping stations, and you're just getting the words that are coming through. How it works, I don't really know, but yeah, I mean that's the most clearest thing that I can remember. I mean, we used all of the devices. We set up a like a hunting cam, you know, like one of those black and white like tree cams.
Mm-hmm.
We set one of those up in the basement. We really just tried a whole bunch of stuff, but with the spirit boxes and yeah, I mean, it wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't anything crazy, but enough to make you want to get back in there and kind of check it out even more.
Are there any spirits that you always hear every time you're at that house?
So that goes along with one of the biggest stories that I have. So do you guys want to jump right into that, or do you want to wait? Because there's one thing that I can tell you every single time to where one spirit gets my attention just like that.
Wow.
That's up to you. Go ahead.
No, it's up to you guys. I
Well,
mean,
that's why we're doing this. We want we want to hear all about the Conjuring House.
all right. So let's get into one of the biggest stories for me there. And yeah, it's small jabs in the lower back, and I just feel them all the time. And I know that's when the spirit Prudence is there. Uh, it's one of the scarier situations because I personally don't know who I'm really talking with. Nothing there wants any label of what this spirit takes on, and it's the only time to where anything admits in that house to where they were the ones who did the whole haunting on the Perrin family. They this spirit, and I don't fully know if it is a passed on spirit. What they've said on records and stuff like that is Prudence wanted to be the mother figure in that house. She wasn't the one who lived there. The original owners were John and Abigail Arnold, but this one took the name Prudence Arnold, which there is a Prudence Arnold, but whatever is speaking as Prudence, if it's her or not, we don't really know because whatever it is the strongest spirit almost in that house because there's another story which is new. But she was the strongest spirit in that whole house, and she admits to absolutely everything. She did the hauntings to the Perrin family. She said she would 100% do it again. I asked about all of my friends and crew, and there's a few people that she's okay with, and she says how I'm completely fine. She likes whatever energy that I bring, but there's a lot of people in my group that she says how she wants no part of. She's not a fan of them, doesn't like them, and
Wow.
it's super strange. But yeah, I get these jabs in the back all the time, and I know that's when she wants to speak. And it happens every time I'm alone, but very rarely if I'm with a group. But sometimes it happens, and I show people, and my main source of communication is dowsing rods. I look at myself and I go, sometimes I don't believe it. So I give it to other people and they get the same exact answers. But it's so weird because, say, if you guys go there tonight, right?
Mm-hmm.
She won't speak. But if I go in there, for some reason, she says she only likes to talk through me. And that's where it's like I get my self-doubt because I'm like, why is it just through when I have these dowsing rods and stuff like that? So I try and make sure everyone else can use it. So I'm not, you know what I mean? It's one of those self-doubt things. I know I'm not moving the rods, but I just need to have other people do it so I can see it to believe it.
Right.
Right, absolutely. And I think I saw that on one of your videos that you had other people
Yeah.
do it too. Same exact
Yeah, it was
response.
two different times in that video. I had Reed do it with me at the end, and I had Cody and Satori do it as well.
Yeah, like that blew my mind that you had the same exact results regardless of who was using it. Oh,
And that's the craziest part.
And she only wants to like talk to you and communicate with you, which is crazy. Does that like intimidate you though? Like, do you ever get scared that she only wants to talk to you?
Maybe I should be a little bit more scared. And for some reason, right, she says she's the most powerful spirit there. And she says how I'm completely fine, talks to me all the time. But whenever I turn the lights out, I can't stand down there because it's just the weirdest feeling. And that's the only time to where I kind of get a little nervous is when I'm down there completely lights out. But how we talk, it's I try and be as very respectful as I can. I ask her what kind of questions she wants to answer. If I'm filming and I say, can I ask you any type of questions, she'll sometimes tell me no, and sometimes she'll tell me yes. So I mean, I just try and respect what they want to do at that time, and everything seems to be good to
Right,
go
absolutely.
from there.
And has like any of your friends that like went had any experiences with her,
Not without me.
or just
Nope.
Wow.
that blows
Yeah.
my mind?
Right. So she has a connection with you.
Strange enough, I
Specifically
guess
you.
so.
Yeah.
I try not to think that there's a connection there, but I mean,
She just loves Tyler. So
I
how long have
wonder-
you been doing events there too? Because I know you. Sorry, Crystal.
yeah. So
You're fine.
technically, the events aren't mine. I'm helping out the house whenever they need a pickup, but I'm friends with Well, I know pretty much all of the caretakers, but one of them, he's part of the group Grit, and he lets me know whenever he has an event going on, and I help him out. It hasn't been like a set schedule of when I help out, so it's pretty much like on call. I'll get like the call a day or two before, but I've been doing it for probably a few months now.
Have you had Prudence talk to you at like one of the events?
First ever event. That was how she started talking to me. I So it sounds a little dark. It's not dark. We didn't do any type of rituals or anything like that. But I had candles. I had 3 of them lit, and I put them in the triangle, one in each corner. And I did the dowsing rods over them. And that was the first time she ever decided to speak with me. Kind of creepy, kind of weird, but yeah, she talked in front of the whole group, but never talked in front of a group again. That was pretty much getting my attention,
Yeah.
and that's where it all started, was from a group session. Yeah.
Is she the spirit that perceives herself as the mistress of the house?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the one that the parent family and everything too, which is that's crazy.
Yeah. And the scariest
what
part is, she said if there was another family to live there, she would 100% do it again.
So was she the one that was tormenting the family that moved in after the parent family?
She said she's done it all,
Yeah. Wow.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's my mind. Like, I'm just in shock over here. How are you not scared to go? You're just like, yeah, I talked to her. It's cool.
I mean,
We're chilling.
it's one of those things where I feel comfortable. I'll go down there and talk with that spirit tonight. You know what I mean?
How do you prepare yourself, or like what do you do to kind of like so that there's no attachment or something like that? You know what I mean? Like, so
To be honest,
Nothing.
as of right now, basically, I don't do anything, because I go in there and I just kind of let them know my full intentions right away. Should I probably do some type of cleansing? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you probably should. I probably should. I won't lie. It was this weekend was the first time I felt like it was absolutely necessary, to where I actually had someone give me a full cleansing and perform with sage and all of that stuff. It was the first time I ever felt like I needed it.
Here, make sure you check out his video tomorrow, because it's going to be great.
Yeah, it's not Conjuring House related, but it's one of the scariest things I've documented yet.
That's
nice.
What's going to happen to you at the Conjuring House, though?
What's that?
What's the scariest thing, like, experience you've had at the Conjuring House?
So it has to do with Prudence. I was alone down in the basement. We have a few people who are upstairs, and I was like, all right, let me just go see what she's up to. Kind of crazy. Who's going to go check out what the most powerful spirit in the house is doing? But because I felt the jabs, and I'm like, all right, let's go down there. I know that she's been wanting to talk. So I go down there. And, like, do you guys know the table in the basement where it's, like, in the well room? So the table's sitting right there.
Yeah.
Right when you walk in, I take that seat. So I'm sitting right here. We have the table right here, and we have the chairs all around. So at that point, I'm talking to Prudence, who's the closest to the outside wall, and then John is sitting right by the well. So there's a seat right in front of me that is supposedly empty because we have Prudence on one side and John on the other. So I'm just communicating with them, simple conversation, nothing too crazy. And I just ask them, I'm like, oh, how many spirits are down here? So they just say, oh, it's just us two, just two spirits. So I go, all right, so you guys are sitting here, sitting there. So I go, no one's sitting in front of me, right? And the way it went to no. Or it, which way? Either way. So I ask if anyone's sitting in front of me, and then they say yes. Something is sitting in front of you. I go, well, you guys said there's two spirits down here. And they go, yeah. So I asked again, are there only two spirits here? Only two spirits. So I said, and something is sitting right in front of me. Yeah. So I go, so is there something different than a spirit that is sitting right in front of me? And it goes to yes. Doesn't look at itself as a spirit. It's not going to say it's a spirit. So there's only technically two spirits down there. So I go, oh shit, you know? I ask, are you a demon?
Oh.
Nope, not a demon. So I go, well, what's different than a demon? Like, I'm like, what is this? And this isn't documented. This is completely by myself. It's one of the things that I would have loved to have on film. And yeah, it's just a weird thing. So I'm sitting there and I go, not a demon. I said, are you more powerful than a demon? And it goes over to yes. So I'm like, what's more powerful than a demon? I'll go, do you look at yourself like a devil? And then it went over to yes. It said how it is some sort of Russian devil, and it came off of the new transfer ship of owners.
Oh.
But I keep waiting and trying to find someone else to, again, get this type of evidence, and it doesn't happen. So when I go down there, I sit at one table because I had it happen to me, and it's actually on one of the last Conjuring House video that I have. I hold the dowsing rods, and they make me pick and choose who to talk to. Do you either want to talk to the devil, where it points at the mirror, or where it points at the tool or the toy box to talk to Prudence? They don't like to communicate at the same time, so I have to pick and choose.
Oh, wow.
It is the strangest thing ever.
I don't know.
Huh?
But I said I don't know which one would be worse at that point, but like I'm gonna go with Prudence because like she like you.
But what if you make the other one mad?
So yeah.
I try and talk to them both throughout the night, but it's one of those situations to where that is freaky. Like when I first was sitting there and it labeled itself as a devil, and I was sitting there all completely alone, and I'm like, this is one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
That gave me chills.
No.
I wonder what the comments are saying, but
I would leave.
If they could answer.
Have they ever like scratched you, physically attacked you, or anything there though, aside from like the back jabs and everything?
Conjuring House, I've never had a scratch on me.
Really?
Yeah, not once have I had anything ever happen to me bad.
At least a positive thing. Going to the Conjuring House.
Never felt sick. Completely fine.
Yeah, that was my next question. Like, have you ever gotten like the whole nausea or like dizzy or anything like that?
Yeah, no, not one time. Other spots, 100%. But Conjuring House, like I said, I walk into there and it feels like a home.
Have you ever been like, I know, I'm like, have there ever been a time like after talking to Prudence or like the devil in the basement where you just like, I don't know if like any times you were truly so terrified?
Because it kept cutting out. Just repeat that one more
time. I'm sorry,
time.
my dog. I said, was there any like any times after you'd like talk to Prudence or talk to like the devil, claiming to be the devil downstairs, that you felt so terrified like you could not go back to the house.
Oh, no. Like I said, I could go back there tonight.
Oh my God.
Never once was I
No.
scared after a conversation. Not throwing any names out there, but I have had some people with me who have been in the same conversation and did not handle it well at all.
I don't imagine that I would either. I didn't get scared going to some of these haunted places that I was sitting there and something said, I'm the devil, or another person said, yeah, I'm responsible for what happened to the Perrin family. I'd be like, I'm gonna head out. Have a good night. Thanks for talking.
Right.
Don't come home with me. You're not allowed. Like, I know if you have been to the Conjuring House with Stephen Dillon.
How about no, I've never been there with Stephen Dillon.
Well, they're supposed to go back. Hopefully.
Yeah, no, I know. They're actually going to be trying to get there soonish. I don't know. That's what I've heard. I've heard what you guys have heard.
Yeah. Crystal, I know you were about to ask a question and then I accidentally talked over you.
No, you're
I don't
fine.
know if you
You're
remember
fine.
what it was.
No, it just blows my mind how he has such a connection with this house. And like you said, every time you go there, she wants to talk to you.
Yeah. The
And I
weirdest
bet
part.
you,
Oh, sorry.
not everybody, and it's probably like not everybody that goes there will get the same interaction as you get.
No, completely different interactions.
Yeah.
I look at it like it's
That's
double-sided.
Are there any yeah.
I heard
Are there
other
any other
names.
spirits that you've like talked?
Yeah. Huh? But yeah, no,
Huh?
there's
What?
a bunch of spirits. I don't know. I don't know if it's only lagging on my end, but that's why I was trying to.
Too.
Okay, cool. But yeah, I mean, at the beginning,
It's
there was a
lagging
whole
on.
group of spirits. There's a whole group of spirits that I talked to at the beginning. One of the biggest ones, and it was the first ones that I went in there and talked to, was Matthew. But Matthew didn't know his last name, decided, because he has no connection to the house. He was just there for a while. And then he told us, he goes, I want to go find my last name. That's where I'm going. So I'll be back whenever I find my last name. One of the spirits that we haven't heard from yet to this day, he left a few months ago now, maybe closer to a year. We talked to a little boy named Jonathan. He usually liked to play games. We would set up little things, and he would hang out with us for a while. I haven't talked to him in forever, too. Now, one of the weirder things is that some of those spirits who I've talked to at the very beginning just aren't there anymore. They kind of either, I don't know what they did. They never said they moved on, but they never said that, anything along with just some of them left. Matthew was the only one who said that he's going to find his last name. There was one time I went over to the Arnold graveyard where it was the original owners. Back in the day, they had like thousands of acres of property. So it's like in back of this really private neighborhood. So we kind of tried to get in there. We had to talk to all of the neighbors in the area, go through their properties to find this graveyard that isn't touched. There's trees down. You can't even walk through the gate almost, but it's the Arnold's graveyard. No one has really ever been there in years. It hasn't ever been on YouTube. So I was like, this is a perfect opportunity. I have to film it. But not talking about the whole filming part, but we go to this graveyard. And then when we get back, we're talking to Noah Arnold, who actually built the whole house. So he was there. Then all of a sudden, it's just one spirit after another just coming into the room. And it's this whole Arnold family gathering. They said how they haven't seen each other in who knows how many years. And from us going to the graveyard, I guess from what it said, Noah said he followed us back to the house and was able to reunite with a whole bunch of his family members. Only part was, he said how once the lights go down, he has to go back to the graveyard. Don't know what the situation was, but he said with whatever is in the house, he wants no part of it, and he completely leaves.
Oh, wow.
Has he been back to the house? I have no idea. I really can't talk to any of the Arnolds because of, from what I believe, is the situation of who I talk to. ever since I started talking to Prudence and let's just say this devil thing, I've never talked to any of the other spirits in the house other than Emily, who she says she's the woman in white. She also does not speak to anybody else.
Maybe they're all scared of this demon thing, this
That's
devil.
Yeah, I mean, they've talked through Cody and Satori and just told me to be careful. But they're the only spirits that communicate. So if the other ones don't, I'm going to go to where the activity is for me.
How many spirits would you say there is there that you know of or talked to or, had any type of interaction with?
So outside, it's a different game too. So there's never been really any communication that I've had with the soldiers, but they still say, some people report that they see them, but anyone could go in there and kind of say that they saw soldiers walking around.
Mm-hmm.
But if we say it, we can say it's John, Abigail, their daughter, Olive. You have, what's his name? The little boy in the closet upstairs. Then you have Prudence.
That man.
Emily, if you want to count the devil thing. So, I mean, 7 on the ones to where I personally know the names of. Okay. But, I mean, there's spirits in and out of there all the time.
Right.
All the time.
Yeah. I did see out Matthew. So that was like one of my questions if you had encountered Matthew, because it says like he doesn't, or he never lived there. He just kind of like found the house and he liked it. So he now and then returns.
Yeah. Matthew was one of the main spirits that I went into and talked to her. Sorry, cut out again.
So, like, have you ever seen any, like, shadow figures? Always. I don't know why it's so bad. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. With shadow figures, it's tough. I've seen a few, but I haven't seen anything dominant. You know what I mean? Nothing that is standing right in front of me. No physical big orbs. The only time where I've had the creepiest orb is when I had one of my old buddies back in the day. He was sitting in a chair, and you see this orb right in back of his arm, and it goes up the wall, comes out, and then it like comes out. The orb spreads apart. You hear something hit off of the mic as the orb actually gets closer, and then comes right at me. But we only saw that during editing.
Dang. That's still insane.
Yeah, that was one of the creepier things.
I couldn't even imagine. Like, what was your reaction editing that film and just seeing that?
I called Josh, and at the time, who was sitting there was Seth. And I called Seth, and I showed them the clip. I go, "You're not going to believe this at all." And they were like, "What the hell was that?" We're all just sitting there watching this clip, just thinking it was one of the coolest things that we've seen.
Yeah, I could imagine. That would be pretty awesome to see on your film. Like, oh my God, I just caught that on camera.
Right.
Yeah.
Not a lot of fun.
Yeah,
especially that type of stuff.
What do you think of the whole, is it Bathsheba?
No.
Yeah.
Bathsheba has nothing to do with the house. If anyone is going to the Conjuring House, don't waste your time with even saying the name. If you want to go check out her graveyard, it's right down the road. Go ahead. But she had nothing to do with the house. She's not there. It's not worth the time.
Gotcha.
And I see so many people go in there, and they're like, "Bathsheba Sherman, are you here?" Why would she be there? It was the Arnold's house.
Gotcha.
That was just the Hollywood to give it a name.
Hollywood loved Bathsheba. It was a long, creepy name, so let's go with it.
But like, okay, so I read Andrea Perron's books. Well, I read the first one, and I'm like halfway through the second. And in the book, before they moved to the farmhouse, they had a cat named Bathsheba.
Yeah, so was it a cat or a dog?
It was a cat, or I can't remember if it was a cat or a dog, but they had, I think it was a dog actually, because they were walking the dog on the road and it got hit.
Yeah, and I mean, coincidence.
How do you come up
crazy coincidence, but yeah, that's what it was.
That was a huge coincidence, though.
Yeah,
I would never
really
come up
big
with
one.
the name back.
Yeah,
Have
but
you
different
read
time.
the book?
No, I don't read. That's why I ghost hunt.
That's why you ghost hunt. Yeah.
You see how big those books are?
Anything else? Crazy. Listen, I read it in probably a week.
Yeah,
I had nothing to do.
It would take me a lot longer than a week.
One book or all three?
One book, because it was literally like 500 pages long.
Right.
Yeah.
So I read them. But I mean, it was crazy. Like, in part of the book, I can't remember who, they were in the living room and they were eating an orange. And like, do you know how when you peel the orange and like some of the juice comes out? Apparently, when they were peeling the orange, they saw blood instead of juice. And I'm like, wow, that would take time. And like Carolyn fell into the fireplace, and what else was there? Like
the broom and the dust piles.
Yeah, like that stuff would always be moved. She got like pricked in the back of the leg by what felt like it was Bathsheba Sherman. No, that's just nuts. So was that the story that no one, like, was the whole Prudence story, the story that really heard, or is there more?
I mean, the biggest story that no one has really ever heard was that table story on where it all started right there with whatever calls itself the devil. And I mean, even still with Prudence, not many people know too much on the story of like kind of how it started, where it was in a group event. You know, I did do it with 3 candles lit at that time. Did it do anything for her to want to get like to want to talk to me more on there? I don't know. You know what I mean? So, but it's a whole story of an odd communication that I've been having.
That's nuts.
Do any of the spirits ever like talk to you and like tell you their stories?
A lot of them used to, but now it's kind of like the ones that are there. We know their story. We know who they are from all of the past research from what the house has done. So they kind of let you know a little bit more about them, but they tell us new things every time, to where, you know, Abigail's favorite food was pheasant. You know, even the children's spirit, they love to play hide and seek in the house. It's just the little things that they'll always just let us know.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Have you ever played hide and seek with them?
Yeah, so we did a few forms of hide and seek with them. There was forms of hide and clap that we did sometimes. And as much as they didn't know much about it, they were playing along with us throughout. You know, we would have devices out just seeing if we would get any activity. And there was one time to where in the house there was something with a clap. Another time we played a prank on my buddy. We tried to make it look like it was the craziest thing he ever walked into. And we took him upstairs and stuff like that. We had another few people downstairs, but he didn't know they were there. So they kind of just walked around, you know, moved around. And it wasn't anything like we were trying to scare him so bad. We just wanted them to think like these footsteps were ghosts. So what it was they eventually stopped. But we didn't know that they stopped. They were now hanging out in the safe room while there's still things moving back and forth. We thought they were in the kitchen because you have these air vents. And it's not like an air vent. It's just a hole from the first floor to the second with just that vent-looking style. But it was back in the day to where you'd light a fireplace. It would just be a way for it to travel. But you can look right into it. So we're in the back bedroom, and right underneath us, you see the dining room. We seen this shadow dart across, and we hear the footsteps. We're like, oh, he's running by. And we were like, oh, it's getting our buddy good. At that point, those 2 people were already in the safe room. There was nobody downstairs. they were playing along with us and to try and freak them out. But they love
That is
playing.
awesome.
They love having fun.
That's great.
That would be a lot of fun to do. Like just
And I
playing
always
hide.
forget that story. What's that?
Go ahead. I said it would just be a lot
no.
of fun to play hide and seek with spirits.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. And I always forget that story too until people bring up the fact of really just having fun, because we get a lot of really cool activity when we're just hanging out, we're having fun, we're just sitting there not talking to them but talking against us, because they want to learn about us as much as we want to learn about them. We're in their house, we're their visitors. So I mean, I've had multiple times to where, see, like now it all comes back to where it was like my second event. I'm sitting up in the middle bedroom. We're just talking about other locations, spots that we would want to go to. All of a sudden, it's just three of us upstairs, and everyone else is like in the kitchen, kind of further away. You don't hear anything. But then there's this little girl laugh right in the next room, just listening to us talk because this lady made a joke, and she just starts laughing, and it was this little girl laugh out of nowhere.
You just make them laugh, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good spot. I just did another event like a few months back, and we're all talking, lights out completely. All of a sudden, there's this other sentence to where all of us are just talking. We hear the sentence, everyone just stops and goes, "All right, who was that?" No, everyone was just like, "I heard it," but we're not looking at it in that way of a spirit coming in. And it was a whole sentence too. If we actually listened, we would have been able to hear it, but we had nothing. Then give it 20 minutes later, we have these little lanterns, and it was a hard dial on there to turn it on. The lantern was in the middle of the room, turned on completely by itself. You heard the click and everything. It was that one was really cool.
I would love that.
Yeah, I mean,
how big are their events? Like how many?
It's different. It's different all the time. I think the max amount of people is 12. So we kind of just split it up and take everyone downstairs and upstairs. And when it gets nicer, you can do stuff outside. But you do go like groups of 6, but you can still hear everybody everywhere. If you want to get into the house, best thing I can recommend, try and plan an overnight.
Yeah.
You'll get quiet and best activity.
How many times have you stayed like overnight there to group?
Oh, I have no idea, to be honest with you.
So many times, probably.
Yeah, it's been a lot.
Yeah, is that one of your favorite places to go back to?
No, to be honest, it's not even my favorite spot. My favorite spot right now to go back to is the USS Salem in Quincy, Mass. It's a big battleship.
Gotcha.
Dang, I don't know that.
Right.
How far is that from you? 45 minutes? Because you're super close to everything haunted?
Right.
Nah, it might be 30.
Okay, so I rest my case. 45, 30, 20.
Yeah.
The longest we've had to drive so far was what, like 3 hours?
5 hours.
5, sorry.
Yeah.
5 hours. You just did that.
Yeah, that one. Well, it wasn't an exact 5-hour trip. I made a little few detours. Driving home was 5 hours. That wasn't fun.
To Stewart's to get your chalky milk.
Yeah, I have them upstairs still.
Wait. Yeah. You still have that?
I got a bunch of them, yeah.
Oh my god. I can't.
And
you're going to New York tomorrow, so you can have more.
Yeah, so I'm going to New York tomorrow, but it's not a spot where it has Stewart's. It's just into New York.
Oh. Well, okay. All right. Anything else, Crystal, that you have about it? I mean, I think I have all my questions. I'm looking.
Yeah, I asked all mine. Very interesting. Very
other
cool.
crazy stories, experience? I know.
I mean,
anything else you can think of?
There's always stuff in the house, but I mean, for the main stories, I mean, yeah, that's kind of it, because everyone has their experiences. When I did something to where I thought it was going to be something cool, we tried having a seance. We have Cody and Satori in there. But for personal experiences by myself, yeah, those ones are it.
Man, I don't know how you just went back in that basement. Like, hey, Prudence, what's up?
Right.
Just want to come talk. Like that meme of, hey, demons, it's me, yo boy. Like, we need that. Someone edit
Yeah.
Tyler on that meme.
Right.
No, it's a good time. It's a good time in there.
Right now. And I'm sure there's been plenty of times where you're there and like literally nothing happens.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's been a lot of times where we just go in there and we'll have the we would have the cameras ready, and we'll just be like, all right, put the cameras away. We're just hanging out tonight. There's nothing we can do.
Nothing's happening.
I mean, I can feel it right when we walk through the front door.
Really? If you like, you can feel if you know you're gonna have activity or not.
Every event that I go in there, I go, all right, guys, how's it going? It's heavy. I go, you guys ready for the event tonight? It cuts out just like that.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, but there's other times to where, yeah, like I'll be in there with two other people, and I'll walk in, I'll be like, there's nothing going on tonight.
That's
I did have
crazy
one
that you
other
can
question.
actually.
Yeah, what's your question?
Have you ever been to a place where like you walk in and the energy is, or the spirits are so strong that it drains like your batteries?
Oh yeah. It was just last weekend. We didn't really it's nothing recorded or anything like that. But we walked in there. Instantly, we had a brand new battery on the ghost cam, and it drained in the matter of 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and you get that a lot. They're going to try and take whatever's new, just different energy. It's not going in a bad way. Sometimes it can be, but sometimes it's just that simple thing of you're new. You have a piece of equipment. They're drawn to you, which then they just take the energy. It's not specifically that they're taking it away from you on purpose, but it's just to where you're the newest person. You have that equipment on you already. It's gonna drain it's gonna drain fast.
Gotcha.
If you go into a spot, and this is my theory, nothing is proven on it, but if you go into a spot, walk it with no cameras first. Introduce yourself. They're going to know you, so they're not going to kind of jump up on you and, feel the need to grab more of that energy. It's going to be more of a relaxed environment. When I've done that, all of my stuff has lasted. I had my buddy go into Chase Manor not doing that right away, and his battery drained super, super fast.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
like the different ways that people go in and investigate, like things happen to this person. Well, they did something different and it didn't happen to them. Like that's just
you can have the same group. You can have the same group go into the same spot and have completely different experiences.
Yep.
Oh man, I cannot wait to make a trip up to the Conjuring House.
Same.
It's worth it. But if you come up here, I recommend spend a few days up here, hit some other spots, because Conjuring House is good, but sometimes you can go in there and get absolutely nothing. So give yourself a backup. Go to the USS Salem. SK Pierce is right up the road too. If you want to, Lizzie Borden, you can rent a room down that way. Everything's super close.
Everything is so awesome. Close to. Like, any interest in experiencing Bobby Mackey's music world?
Bobby Mackey's is on the lower end of the list. It's a really cool spot, but from what I hear from it, it's on the low end of the list. If I'm over there and I have the time, 100%. Who would ever knock down an investigation? But it's not, and it's never a spot that I would specifically go for just to film it and come back. It would have to be a backup for another spot.
Yeah, I could agree. I mean, it's on our list maybe, but not top of the list like we have.
Yeah.
I would say Bobby Mackey's
Those
if you want to look at it in
we want to hit
ABC.
before that.
I would call Bobby Mackey's definitely a C spot.
Yeah.
Lots of B's,
for sure.
never close to an A.
Man. Come to win. That's expensive.
Winchester,
Janelle, I'll help y'all out.
A spot.
Absolutely. But it's, I mean, you got to fly out there and like, that's just, we're not there. We have a lot of work to do before we hit Winchester. But we definitely want to. I mean, that's definitely one we've talked about. Yeah. And I mean, we talked about doing a lot of different places. Winchester was on the list. There's a bunch in Ohio that we want to hit. So, I mean, we got a good list of places we want to hit first before we kind of go out of state, I think, too.
Yeah, I mean, you guys got a lot of stuff that you can do.
Yeah. I mean, just in Ohio, Madison, Prospect Manor, like Mansfield, Reformatory, like there's so much in Ohio. Ohio's scary. Would you rather go to Conjuring House or Saratoga County Homestead?
Not a question I can really answer yet. I've been to Saratoga, I guess we can say twice now, but I've never gone to investigate. So investigation-wise, can't answer that. If you want an answer now, Conjuring House, it has heat.
It snows in Saratoga.
Oh, yeah. It snows in there.
As soon as the snow goes, I mean, yeah, I feel like it wouldn't be bad in the spring, summer. It'd be all right.
Yeah, I haven't investigated it yet, so it would be an unfair answer.
I can't really say which one I'd rather go to because I want to go to both.
Mm-hmm.
Crystal, you?
I do too. I want to go to both.
Yeah, like it's just, we've never been to either one. Tyler's been to
both
of them, but ready to go pretty much anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
We just want to go places.
I can't wait.
Well, I know it's going to be really exciting when we actually get out and start doing everything. So when we come to the Conjuring House,
I'll make sure I'm away that week.
Cool. That's what I was hoping for. I would rather not have to talk to the devil that night, so I appreciate it.
No problem. I'm just looking out.
National spots that if you had all the money in the world you'd investigate, what would be the ultimate international trip?
It's a good question. I never really looked up any spots outside of the United States. I know there's a bunch. And I have seen videos of people do it, but what would be? Is there one that I could tell you? I don't know. I don't even know the spots really around me. There's so many spots. So it's like there's so many castles. You got, what's it? The Vladimir Castle or something like that. That's a really cool one. Even like these Queen Mary castles. There's so many things over there to where
any castle. I would take.
Go to Wilson Castle. It's in Vermont.
How far is that from you? An hour? Or less?
4 hours, maybe.
Oh, look at that. 4 hours.
Yeah.
What do you think was talking to Sam and Colby in the Conjuring basement when it said it was going up and locked them downstairs?
I can't answer that.
Could have been anything.
I'll leave that one up to you guys. You guys watch the video. That's all I can say.
I mean, I don't. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it could have been anyone, any of the spirits playing pranks on them. You know, you never actually know exactly who you're talking to. Like, there's a lot of times where I feel like spirits can portray themselves as other spirits. You know, they trick you. Some are going to be honest with you. Some are going to say, oh, all the things you've heard, like, oh, I'm a little girl, but could be a devil or a demon. You know, you never really know what you're talking to. And that's the fun in doing this. You never actually know.
For me to actually answer that question, I would have had to been there with them that night. That's the only way I can actually answer that question, is I would have had to been there that night. So I honestly can't say anything on what it was. I could have told you if I was there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard one to answer.
Yeah.
Especially not being there. They did have a crazy experience there, though. But
yeah, it was definitely interesting.
All right. Any other questions? Because I'm sure Tyler has. I think you have other things that you should be doing, like editing your videos and
Chase Manor's being
stuff.
worked on currently. Not right now, but that's what I'm working on right now.
Nice.
All right. So thank you very much, Tyler.
No,
you are
thanks for having me on, guys.
for making this possible.
Yes.
You were awesome. We appreciate everything. If you guys don't follow Tyler, go subscribe to his channel. He has a new video coming out tomorrow. Is it 12 o'clock Eastern or 1 o'clock?
We're sticking with the same time. It's going to be 1 o'clock. So, guys, check out Kayla. She's going to be one of the hype people in there because I can't be there. I'm driving up to New York. But it's one of those videos to where you guys can at least enjoy together, because it's one of those things that are absolutely crazy. Just tweet me if you guys follow me and stuff like that. I'll respond back to you when I'm done driving. It's going to be insane. Absolutely insane.
I can't wait to see it. After, like, we've had that, we were on VC at like 1 o'clock in the morning while you were editing it.
Because what
and I was want to watch this. I cannot wait. Yeah, you see the trailer on VC at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I was like, that is gonna be legit.
Yeah.
Like, I can't wait. But yeah, guys, go subscribe to him. Be there tomorrow. It's a premiere. Come talk with me. Crystal should be there too. Actually, I think you have a birthday party tomorrow. So come talk to me. Tyler, thank you seriously so much for making this possible, for making the post and everything. We appreciate you so much.
No, it was a blast. It was a blast. Thank you for having me.
All right. We will catch you guys next week. We have another video coming out on Thursday about Alcatraz. Don't miss it.
All right. See ya.